The sun was rising slowly over Earth's most secret training ground, Camp Fury. This place was hidden deep in the cold mountains. No reporters, no cities, only war, only silence, only the best of the best. Here, the most elite human soldiers, trained fighters who had seen 100 battles, veterans from wars in space, men and women who had stared death in the face and smiled. But today, something strange was happening. General Rains stood at the edge of the airstrip. His arms were behind his back. His steel-gray eyes watched the sky. He had fought for 30 years. He had seen alien monsters eat men alive. But today, he felt uneasy. Low hum filled the air. Then came the sound of strange engines, soft, quiet, not human. A long, sleek alien shuttle floated down like a bird. It didn't roar like human ships. It whispered. The soldiers behind Rains looked at each other. Some raised their eyebrows. The shuttle landed. Its door hissed open, and then they came out. The first alien stepped forward, thin, pale green skin, big black eyes, no armor, no weapons, just a smooth gray suit. His arms were too long. His face was calm, almost too calm. Then came the others, a group of 20. They looked weak, no muscles, no scars. Their movements were slow, soft like dancers. Their necks seemed too long for their heads. Their hands had 4 fingers. Someone laughed. It was Sergeant Hale, a tall, broad-chested man with a thick beard and cruel smile. "These are the warriors," he said loudly. "Did we order lab rats by mistake?" The soldiers around him laughed. One human whispered, "I've seen stronger birds." Another added, "A good wind could blow 'em away." But the aliens said nothing. They stood in a line, silent, still. Their faces had no emotion. General Rains took 1 step forward. He didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He only watched. Then, he said, "Which one of you is the leader?" One alien stepped forward, same calm face, same long limbs, but something was different in his eyes, cold, focused, ancient. "I am Sayar," he said in a soft voice. "We come to learn." Hale chuckled again. "From us? You're gonna need bones first." Sayar looked at him, just for a second, and Hale blinked. Something passed between them, something invisible, something cold. For just one moment, Hale's smirk faded, but then he shook his head. "Whatever. Hope they don't break on day 1. Later that day, the aliens were taken to the barracks. Their rooms were simple, just beds and lockers. The humans were loud, joking, flexing muscles, lifting weights. The aliens sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, meditating. Private Allen, one of the youngest soldiers, watched them from the hallway. He frowned. "They're like statues," he whispered. His friend Jason replied, "Statues that will run crying on the first drill." Dinner mess hall. First contact at dinner. The aliens moved silently through the cafeteria. They ate, slowly, barely touching their food. The humans, in contrast, slammed trays, made jokes, and threw food at each other. One of the aliens dropped a spoon. Before it hit the ground, he caught it, without even looking. Jason saw it. He blinked. "Did you see that?" Alan nodded slowly. "Yeah, reflex is weird." Saya stood, tray in hand, and moved to sit alone. General Rains watched from a corner table. He was thinking, too calm, too focused, no fear. Nightfall. The training officers gathered in Rains's office. Colonel Briggs slammed a folder on the table. "Sir, this is a joke. These aliens don't belong here." "They haven't even trained yet," Rains said. "They don't need to," Briggs replied. "They're not soldiers. They're monks." A voice from the corner spoke. It was Dr. Emery, the base's science advisor. "Sir, their biology is still not fully understood. Their nervous systems are unique." "Unique how?" Rains asked. They don't react to fear the same way we do. In fact, they might not feel fear at all. Morning. First drill begins. The next morning the loudspeaker crackled. Everyone on the field, gear up. First drill starts in 5 minutes. The humans geared up quickly. Helmets, armor, boots. The aliens walked onto the field with nothing. No gear, no helmets, just simple suits. Hale shouted, "You gonna fight a war or take a nap?" But the aliens said nothing. The drill sergeant barked, "Obstacle course, go!" The humans exploded into motion, jumping, crawling, running, shouting. The aliens walked. At first it looked like they didn't understand. Then one of them, the smallest alien named Vora, leapt straight up a 10-foot wall with no run-up. The humans stopped running. What the hell? Another alien stepped into mud and didn't sink. He glided across it like he was floating. Jason, watching from the sidelines, whispered, "They were pretending before." A warning. From Sayar after the drill, Sergeant Hale approached Sayar. "You cheated." Sayar looked at him, calm. "No." Hale got closer. "Say that again." Sayar didn't move. "No." Hale shoved him. The alien didn't fall, didn't blink, didn't flinch. Sayar's voice was quiet. "We came to learn, but not what you think." "What does that mean?" Hale growled. Sayar only stared. "You will see." General Rains investigates. That evening, Rains opened a sealed file marked Alien Exchange Level Red. Inside were medical reports, brain scans, energy readings. He saw one word circled 3 times. Suppressed potential. He leaned back in his chair. "They're hiding their true strength," he whispered. Final scene. The camp. Changes. That night, lightning struck in the distance. Rain poured down. The soldiers slept. But one camera feed showed something strange. The alien barracks were not asleep. They were glowing. A soft green energy filled their room. Their eyes were open. Sayar stood in the center of the room and whispered something in a language no human knew. Suddenly, the camera shut off. In the security room. The guard leaned forward, confused. What the hell? Morning at Camp Fury was never quiet. The sky was still dark, but loud horns shook the mountains. The human soldiers jumped out of bed, dressed in seconds, and ran out into the freezing morning air. But the alien recruits were already outside. Lined up, eyes open, perfectly still. Private Jason rubbed his eyes and stared. "Do they even sleep?" Alan walked past him. "Creepy, man. I swear they just stand there like statues." Sergeant Hale barked orders. "Form up. No one eats till the obstacle course is done. Let's see if our soft-skinned friends can survive a little mud." The humans laughed. The aliens said nothing. The obstacle course, it was long and brutal. Steep mountain trail, spinning blades, deep mud pits, electrified ropes. Even humans feared it. Hale clapped his hands. "Let's go. Humans first. Show them how it's done." The human squad ran forward, climbing, jumping, falling, pushing through mud, yelling. Most made it through, tired, wet, bruised. Then it was the aliens' turn. Sayar walked forward slowly. No warm-up, no stretches. He looked at the course like he had seen it before. Then he ran. No. He glided. He moved like water. Smooth. Fast. His feet barely touched the ground. He jumped over spinning blades. Without looking, the mud pit, he ran across it. "Did you see that?" Jason shouted from the sidelines. "He's not even tired." The next alien went, then another, each one faster than the last. One alien urine closed his eyes and ran the entire course blind. Perfect steps, no stumbles. The human recruits were silent now, no jokes. No laughter. Sergeant Hale crossed his arms, jaw tight. Impossible. Weapon drills. The shock begins. After a short break, it was time for the weapons test. Humans grabbed their rifles, checked ammo, loaded with speed and confidence. The aliens stood behind the weapon racks, staring. Hale rolled his eyes. What now? Scared of guns? One alien, a female named Xea, stepped forward. She picked up a rifle slowly. Her long fingers moved over it. She touched the trigger, the safety, the power core. Then, something strange happened. The gun made a noise, a deep hum, and powered on. The humans froze. That weapon wasn't charged, said the armory tech. It had no energy cell. Xea held it like she had done it 1,000 times. She raised it, fired at the targets. Each shot, a perfect hit. Sayar picked up a weapon next. He didn't even aim. He simply turned, fired, and hit 3 targets at once. No misses. How are they doing this? Whispered a human soldier. General Rains stood near the tower, watching everything with sharp eyes. They're not just copying us, he said softly. They're remembering. Break time. Questions rise later. At the water station, Jason sat beside Alan. Both were sweating hard. Jason whispered, I'm telling you, Alan. They're pretending. They knew what that course was. They knew the weapons. Alan nodded. And did you notice something else? What? They're getting stronger. Saya couldn't lift a crate yesterday. Today, she lifted it with one hand. Jason's face turned pale. How? Alan leaned close. What if they're hiding their real power? Just then, Sayar walked past. He turned his head slightly, looked at them. Jason froze, that look, deep, unreadable, like Sayar had heard every word. Night training, the real test at sunset. A surprise drill was called. Pair up, shouted the drill sergeant. Humans and aliens, hand-to-hand combat. Hale grinned wide. Finally, time to show them who's boss. First match, Private Raynor versus Alien Vora. Raynor was a boxing champion. The bell rang. Raynor stepped forward, fists ready. Vora just stood there. Raynor threw a fast punch. Vora vanished. No one saw him move. But suddenly, he was behind Raynor. One tap on the back of the neck, and Raynor collapsed. Not hurt, just unconscious. What the? Was that some kind of nerve strike? Replay the footage. The video played on the screen. In slow motion, Vora didn't dodge. He predicted the punch before it was thrown, then moved like a shadow. The humans were no longer laughing. The command center reacts. General Rains stood in the command room with Dr. Emery, watching the footage again and again. No hesitation, Rains said. He knew exactly where the punch would land. Dr. Emery nodded. They are beyond us, sir. Their bodies are learning, adapting, changing. Are we training them? Rains asked quietly. Or are we being studied? Strange behavior. After dark later that night, the camp was supposed to be asleep, but in the alien barracks the lights were on. A camera feed showed the alien recruits standing in a circle, silent. Suddenly, their eyes began to glow, faint blue light. Then one of them levitated 2 feet above the ground. The feed cut off. The guard in the control room leaned back. Nope, I'm reporting this. He pressed the emergency call, Hale's breaking point the next day. Sergeant Hale stormed into the training yard. He walked straight up to Sayar. You're not normal, he growled. You're playing with us. Sayar stood calm. You trained to kill. We trained to survive. Hale pointed a finger. I don't trust you, Sayar replied coldly. You shouldn't. Then he walked away. Hale's hands were shaking. He looked at me like I was nothing. End scene. General's private note. In his personal log that night, General Rains wrote, They came here as students, but I believe that was a lie. They are not weak. They never were. We mocked them. We laughed. We underestimated them. And now, we might pay for it. The cold wind moved through Camp Fury. Snow fell lightly, but the air felt strange, not because of the weather, because of the aliens. It had been only 2 days since training started, and already everything had changed. The humans were no longer laughing. Jokes had died, pride had faded, and the commanders were now watching the aliens, not with curiosity, but with fear. The strength test at sunrise, the recruits lined up at the weight racks. This test was simple. Lift increasing weights until you couldn't anymore. Only raw power. Sergeant Hale stood at the front, holding a clipboard. He still looked tough, but now he didn't joke. "Humans first," he said. Jason stepped forward, gripping the steel. Bah! He lifted 400 pounds. Arms shook, but he did it. Next, Alan lifted 420. His face turned red, veins popping. The crowd clapped. Then Sayar stepped forward. He looked at the bar, tilted his head and said, "Can you add more?" Hale's jaw tightened. "Fine. 500 pounds, then 600, then 700. The humans watched in silence. Sayar lifted it easily. No shake, no sound, no effort. Then he looked at Hale and said calmly, "More." 800, Hale growled. Sayar gripped the bar, stood, lifted, then added, "This isn't my limit." Mental test, impossible puzzle. In the command lab, Dr. Emery stood beside a large glowing cube. This was the neurocore, a mental simulator used to test problem-solving under stress. Even top human minds took 20 minutes to solve level 3. Today, Sayar and Saya were placed on level 6, a setting never tested before. "Start," Emery said. The cube spun. Lights flickered, shapes moved. The room grew hot. Jason and Alan watched from behind glass. "Level 6? Alan whispered. "That thing's not even finished." "Yeah," Jason replied. "It's supposed to overload the brain." But Sayar didn't blink. His fingers moved across the controls calmly. In 8 minutes he stood back. "It is done." Emery stared at the cube. It stopped spinning. Lights turned green. The cube whispered, "Solved." Heart rate lab, no pulse? Later in the medical center, Rains demanded a full physical scan of the alien bodies. "I want numbers," he said. "Heart rate, blood oxygen, neural response. I want facts." But the machines didn't understand the aliens. Sia lay on the table, electrodes connected to her skin. "Checking vitals," said the nurse. The screen beeped once, then showed flatline. "No heartbeat," the nurse said. "Wait, this can't be right. She's awake." She was breathing, blinking, but her heart was not beating. Emery stepped in, run a scan again, still flat. Then suddenly, thump. One beat, every 45 seconds. Rains stared. "They can slow their hearts down on command." Emery nodded slowly. "They might be able to stop it entirely, and still live." In the shadows, secret talk that night. In the dark corner of the alien barracks, Saya sat with the others. They spoke in whispers, using no words. Their eyes flickered with faint light. One said, "The humans are observing." Saya replied, "Let them. They think we're showing our power." Another added, "We're only showing what they can understand." Challenge match. Human versus alien, next day. The most dangerous event yet, combat arena. The rules were clear, no weapons, no tricks. One-on-one. Sergeant Hale stepped into the ring, cracking his knuckles. "I want him," he said, pointing at Saya. Rains narrowed his eyes. "Are you sure?" "I've had enough games." Saya walked calmly into the arena. The crowd circled them. Hale rushed forward with fury, fast, powerful, trained. He threw punch after punch. Sayar didn't block, didn't dodge. He simply moved just enough. Not even full steps, just angles. Hale growled. "Fight back," Sayar whispered. "You're already tired." Hale swung wildly. Sayar stepped forward once, pressed 2 fingers to Hale's chest. Hale's legs collapsed. He gasped, fell to the ground, shaking, no injuries, but he couldn't move. Aftermath. Tensions rise. The soldiers didn't cheer. They didn't speak. Jason whispered, "He didn't hit him." Alan nodded. He stopped his body, from the inside. In the command room, Rains faced Emery. "Give me answers," the general said. Emery replied, "We're not training them. We're testing limits, and they don't seem to have any." Power surge incident. That night, power across the base cut out for 12 seconds. Only 12. But in that moment, all cameras shut off. Communications stopped. Lights died. When the system rebooted, everything returned to normal, except one file was missing from the server: human weakness, combat patterns. Someone had accessed it, and only one group was awake during the outage. Final scene, the warning. The next morning, a coded message arrived at Camp Fury from a distant human base. A warning. To all command stations, do not underestimate the Gennari. They appear weak, but their weakness is a mask. They've done this before. On other planets, they learn everything, fast, and when they do, they don't serve. They replace. General Rains stared at the screen, then looked out the window at the training field, where Sayar was teaching humans how to breathe slower, how to dodge without seeing. The general whispered, "We let them in." The night started quiet, too quiet. The cold wind didn't move, no birds, no insects, just the soft hum of security lights. But inside Barracks 14, something had started, something no one could stop. Private Allen sat upright in his bed, breathing fast, his eyes wide open. "Jason," he whispered. "Wake up." Jason groaned, half asleep. "What is it now?" "I heard something," Allen said. "Inside my head." Jason turned on his bunk light. "You had a dream." "No," Allen said, quickly. "I wasn't sleeping." Jason looked at him. Allen's face was pale. His hands were shaking. The voice. No one else heard. An hour later, Allen sat in the med bay. A nurse checked him. "Pulse is fast, but stable." Dr. Emery entered. "What happened, Private?" Allen's voice was low. There was a voice. It wasn't human. It spoke in my mind. Cold, like metal scraping inside my brain. "What did it say?" Allen looked at the wall. "We're watching you. We're listening. You are not ready." Emery leaned forward. "Do you think it was a dream?" Allen looked up slowly. "No, sir. It was real. I was awake, and then my body locked. I couldn't move, couldn't blink, but I was fully conscious. Cameras don't lie." They checked the footage. At 2:47 a.m., the camera in Barracks 14 showed Allen sleeping normally. Then his body tensed, his back arched, eyes wide open. He didn't move for 3 minutes. No twitch, no breath. Then suddenly, his chest fell like he had been holding his breath for hours. Jason could be seen waking up in the corner, calling for help. "Play it again," General Rains ordered. They replayed it and saw one more thing. For exactly 6 seconds, the screen glitched. A blur stood beside Allen's bed. Not human, not alien, just shadow. Then it vanished. Fear spreads through the ranks. Word spread fast. The soldiers were uneasy now. Jokes stopped completely. Some started sleeping with knives. Others kept lights on. Jason sat with Emery the next evening. "Doc," he asked, "what if they're in our heads now?" Emery didn't answer. He just looked down at his notes. Strange changes in Allen by morning. Allen seemed better. Too better. He walked without tiredness. His hands stopped shaking. His eyes, calm but distant. He passed the combat test without trying. Dodged attacks. Like he could predict the future. Jason noticed it first. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "That's not the Allen I know." Later that day, Allen sat alone in the mess hall. Saya walked by. The two didn't speak. But Saya nodded once, and Allen nodded back. Unauthorized meeting. That night, Rains called a secret meeting in his private office. Only Emery, Hale, and a few trusted officers were allowed. He showed them a file marked Alert. Cognitive infiltration. It came from an off-world human base. The message, subject interaction with Janari, resulted in partial mental takeover. Symptoms include memory gaps, sudden skills, emotional detachment, and shared thoughts. Sergeant, Hale stood up. You're telling me they're hijacking our people's brains? Emery nodded. Or maybe sharing something inside their minds. Jason confronts Alan. That night, Jason found Alan near the training yard. Tell me the truth, Jason said. Are you still you? Alan turned slowly, his eyes cold, flat. Does it matter? He asked. Jason froze. What? I feel. No pain now, no fear. I move faster. I understand more. Alan, that's not normal. Alan tilted his head. Normal is weakness. Then he walked away. The mirror test, Dr. Emery ran a test next day. He called all recruits, humans and aliens, into the white lab room. On one wall, a tall mirror. But it was special, designed to detect neural anomalies. The test was simple. Look into the mirror for 10 seconds. A green light meant clear. A red meant possible mental corruption. Human after human passed. Then Alan stepped forward. He looked. The light blinked. Red, Jason clenched his fists. Then Sayar stepped forward. The mirror didn't blink at all. It shattered. Dreams that were not dreams. That night, more humans reported. Strange dreams. Jason saw fire burning Earth cities. He stood at the edge of a crater, watching Janari ships rise into the sky. Another soldier, Corporal Dina, said she woke up screaming after seeing her future self, with Janari eyes. A third claimed he dreamed of standing beside Sayar, watching humans kneel. General Rains makes a move. Enough was enough. Rains called a lockdown. No one in or out of the alien quarters. No training, no shared meals. Full scans. Ordered. But when soldiers arrived to seal the alien barracks, they were empty. Every Janari was gone. No broken doors. No forced exits. Just gone. Like they had vanished into air. Final twist. They were still. There, an hour later, Jason sat in his room, heart racing. Something felt wrong. He turned, and Sayar was standing in the corner. Jason froze. How did you get in here? Sayar stepped forward, slow and calm. You were right to fear. Jason backed away. What do you want? We never came here to train. We came to prepare you. For what's coming. Jason whispered. What is coming? Sayar's eyes glowed faint blue, and then he spoke one sentence that would haunt Jason forever. You are not humanity's final form. The night started quiet. Too quiet. The cold wind didn't move. No birds, no insects. Just the soft hum of security lights. But inside Barracks 14, something had started. Something no one could stop. Private Allen sat upright in his bed, breathing fast, his eyes wide open. Jason, he whispered. Wake up. Jason groaned, half asleep. What is it now? I heard something, Allen said. Inside my head. Jason turned on his bunk light. You had a dream. No, Allen said, quickly. I wasn't sleeping. Jason looked at him. Allen's face was pale. His hands were shaking. The voice. No one else heard. An hour later, Allen sat in the med bay. A nurse checked him. Pulse is fast, but stable. Dr. Emery entered. What happened, Private? Allen's voice was low. There was a voice. It wasn't human. It spoke in my mind. Cold, like metal scraping inside my brain. What did it say? Allen looked at the wall. We're watching you. We're listening. You are not ready. Emery leaned forward. Do you think it was a dream? Allen looked up slowly. No, sir. It was real. I was awake, and then my body locked. I couldn't move, couldn't blink, but I was fully conscious. Cameras don't lie. They checked the footage. At 2:47 a.m., the camera in Barracks 14 showed Alan sleeping normally. Then his body tensed, his back arched, eyes wide open. He didn't move for 3 minutes. No twitch, no breath. Then suddenly, his chest fell like he had been holding his breath for hours. Jason could be seen waking up in the corner calling for help. "Play it again," General Rains ordered. They replayed it and saw one more thing. For exactly 6 seconds, the screen glitched. A blur stood beside Alan's bed. Not human, not alien, just shadow. Then it vanished. Fear spreads through the ranks. Word spread fast. The soldiers were uneasy now. Jokes stopped completely. Some started sleeping with knives. Others kept lights on. Jason sat with Emery the next evening. "Doc," he asked, "what if they're in our heads now?" Emery didn't answer. He just looked down at his notes. Strange changes in Alan by morning. Alan seemed better. Too better. He walked without tiredness. His hands stopped shaking. His eyes, calm but distant. He passed the combat test without trying. Dodged attacks. Like he could predict the future. Jason noticed it first. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "That's not the Alan I know." Later that day, Alan sat alone in the mess hall. Saya walked by. The two didn't speak. But Saya nodded once, and Alan nodded back. Unauthorized meeting. That night, Rains called a secret meeting in his private office. Only Emery, Hale, and a few trusted officers were allowed. He showed them a file marked Alert. Cognitive infiltration. It came from an off-world human base. The message, subject interaction with Gennari, resulted in partial mental takeover. Symptoms include memory gaps, sudden skills, emotional detachment, and shared thoughts. "Sergeant," Hale stood up. "You're telling me they're hijacking our people's brains?" Emery nodded. "Or maybe sharing something inside their minds." Jason confronts Alan. That night, Jason found Alan near the training yard. "Tell me the truth," Jason said. "Are you still you?" Alan turned slowly, his eyes cold, flat. "Does it matter?" he asked. Jason froze. "What?" "I feel no pain now, no fear. I move faster. I understand more." "Alan, that's not normal." Alan tilted his head. "Normal is weakness." Then he walked away. The mirror test. Dr. Emery ran a test next day. He called all recruits, humans and aliens, into the white lab room. On one wall, a tall mirror. But it was special, designed to detect neural anomalies. The test was simple. Look into the mirror for 10 seconds. A green light meant clear. A red meant possible mental corruption. Human after human passed. Then Alan stepped forward. He looked. The light blinked. Red. Jason clenched his fists. Then Sayar stepped forward. The mirror didn't blink at all. It shattered. Dreams that were not dreams. That night, more humans reported. Strange dreams. Jason saw fire burning Earth cities. He stood at the edge of a crater, watching Gennari ships rise into the sky. Another soldier, Corporal Dina, said she woke up screaming after seeing her future self, with Gennari eyes. A third claimed he dreamed of standing beside Sayar, watching humans kneel. General Rains makes a move. Enough was enough. Rains called a lockdown. No one in or out of the alien quarters. No training, no shared meals. Full scans. Ordered. But when soldiers arrived to seal the alien barracks, they were empty. Every Gennari was gone. No broken doors. No forced exits. Just gone. Like they had vanished into air. Final twist. They were still. There, an hour later, Jason sat in his room, heart racing. Something felt wrong. He turned, and Sayar was standing in the corner. Jason froze. "How did you get in here?" Sayar stepped forward, slow and calm. "You were right to fear." Jason backed away. What do you want? We never came here to train. We came to prepare you. For what's coming. Jason whispered. What is coming? Sayar's eyes glowed faint blue, and then he spoke one sentence that would haunt Jason forever. You are not humanity's final form. It started over South America. At 02:04 a.m., the sky turned white for 1 second. No thunder, no lightning, just white. Then static buzzed through every screen, phones, TVs, satellites. Across the world, satellites blinked offline. Power grids failed. For 7 seconds, in those 7 seconds, people saw something impossible. Shapes in the sky, not ships, not clouds, symbols, floating, huge, ancient and shifting slowly, and then they were gone. Global panic. The Earth Defense Council called an emergency. Session footage was reviewed. The symbols didn't match any human language, but the Janari. They reacted. On every base where Janari were held, they fell to their knees. Their eyes glowed gold. Some whispered words in a deep voice, not their own. Jason stood beside Emery watching the footage. What are they saying? Jason asked. Emery replied, It's not Janari, it's older. He paused, then translated. The path is open. The hosts have prepared. Begin awakening. Broadcast from nowhere. All frequencies across the solar system began repeating a single tone, one sound pulsing every 2 seconds. Boom, boom. Emery called it the origin pulse. It's not meant for us, he said. It's activating something. Jason looked at him. Activating what? Before he could answer, a soldier ran in. Sir, something's rising from the moon. The hidden ship, a black object, long, silent and cold, rose from the far side of the moon. No heat signature, no propulsion. It didn't fly. It floated through space like it was being pulled by something invisible. Emery gasped. That's not a ship, that's a vault. Janari transformation. Begins at Camp Fury. The Janari weren't just kneeling anymore. They were changing, skin shifting, muscles stretching, bones reshaping. Alan screamed in his room as his veins glowed. His fingers grew longer, thinner. Jason tried to enter, but the door locked. Alan's voice spoke from behind the wall. Jason, don't be afraid. This is how we ascend. You should join us. Jason backed away. This isn't evolution. It's invasion. Dreams across the planet that night. Nearly 60% of Earth's population experienced the same dream. A tall white tower reaching the sky, Janari standing around its base, and a human figure at the top, glowing, silent, eyes closed. Everyone woke, up at the same time, same words in their heads. The gate will open when the 13th awakens. Jason didn't sleep. He couldn't. He saw the tower even while awake. The signal reaches Jupiter. Earth's deep space sensors picked up something terrifying. The origin pulse had reached Jupiter, and something answered from under the planet's surface. Second signal, much louder, pushed through space like a roar. This one didn't repeat. It just said, Earth is late. Begin correction. Emery stared at the readings. They're not just here for Earth. They're using Earth. Jason nodded. Slowly, like a missing piece of a puzzle. Sayar's return. Jason found Sayar outside Camp Fury's ruins. The wind blew harder now. The sky flickered at random. Sayar, Jason shouted. What is happening? Sayar turned. His eyes were no longer blue. They were golden white. You still think this is about war? Sayar said softly. Jason stepped forward. Isn't it? Sayar smiled. This is about memory. He pointed at Jason's chest. You are one of them. You all are. You just forgot. Truth of the past, Doctor. Emery ran a deep genetic scan on Jason and on 5 others. All results pointed to one thing, a shared code, not Janari, not human, something older, hidden, dormant. He stared at the results, then whispered, "We weren't created by the Jannari. We were left behind, by the same ones who created them." Jason whispered, "So Earth was never alone." Emery nodded. "No, it was a waiting room." The sky breaks on the seventh day. The sky finally shattered. Not physically, but reality itself rippled, cities glitched. Mountains shook, water floated for a moment in the air, and then they arrived. 12 beings made of light and shadow descended over the oceans, not in ships. As energy, massive yet untouchable. Saya kneeled as they appeared and whispered, "The architects have returned." Final scene. Jason's vision. Jason collapsed, but in his mind he saw everything. He saw the Jannari homeworld, burned long ago. He saw the creators leave parts of themselves across planets. He saw Earth being chosen not by chance, but because of its chaos. He stood at the foot of the glowing tower from the dreams, and at the top, the 13th figure turned. It was him. He opened his eyes, and all 12 beings bowed. The 12 beings, called the architects, still floated above Earth's oceans. They didn't speak. They didn't move. But the galaxy did. Dozens of alien species from far corners of space turned their ships toward Earth. Earth's defense. Satellites picked up thousands of deep space pings. Jason stared at the map in the command center. More than 400 alien fleets were approaching. He said, "We were never hidden, just waiting for someone to wake us up." Emery added, "And now they all want to see what's been unlocked." Galactic panic across the galaxy. Panic spread. Old empires that once ruled for centuries were now afraid. The ancient signal Earth triggered wasn't just a message. It was a beacon, one that said, "The final node is active." Judgment begins. Some civilizations began fleeing their home planets. Others prepared weapons they hadn't used in 10,000 years. One alien high priest screamed on a live broadcast, "They have awakened Earth. The circle is complete. The architects have returned." Jason is changing. Jason stopped sleeping. His heart beat slower now, only 20 beats per minute. His eyes glowed faintly at night. When Emery scanned his body, he found cells that didn't belong to any known species. "You're not dying," Emery said. "You're becoming." Jason looked at his hands. "I feel everything." He could hear the wind moving through rocks. He could feel people's emotions just by standing near them, and worst of all, he was starting to hear a voice inside. His mind. It wasn't speaking yet, just waiting. Jannari warnings. Saya approached Jason in the ruins of Camp Fury. "You need to leave Earth," he said. "Why?" Jason asked. "Because now, you are the signal. Every species that fears the architects will come for you, not to destroy you, but to use you." Jason stayed silent. Sayar looked around and added, "They'll try to cut you apart and build their own false gods." The hunters arrive. The first enemy appeared in Earth's orbit, a race called the Zarn dynasty, giant insect-like creatures who ruled black hole systems. Their leader spoke directly to Earth through a hacked satellite. "Surrender the Ascended One, or Earth becomes ash." Before anyone could respond, 8 Zarn ships entered the atmosphere. They began firing precision weapons at Earth's mountains, oceans, and forests, not to destroy, but to draw Jason out. Jason walked to the top of Mount Aris, alone. He looked at the ships, and then he raised his hand. Power unleashed. A pulse spread from Jason's body. It wasn't fire, it wasn't light, it was silence. Time slowed. The ships stopped moving in midair. All 8 alien vessels froze. Then they crumbled into dust without noise. The winds didn't even blow the dust. It fell like snow. Jason whispered, I didn't try. I just wanted them to stop. Sayar stood behind him, stunned. You've reached phase 1. The Janari. Truth that night, Sayar finally explained the truth. The Janari were created as shadows to mimic what the architects once were. We never had full power, just fragments. Training was meant to awaken us, but we failed again and again. Jason asked, "So I'm different?" Sayar nodded. "You're not a shadow. You're the original spark. You are not what the architects built. You are what they left behind." The star shift. Suddenly, space sensors detected something terrifying. The stars themselves were shifting, not moving, not dying, changing shape. Across several systems, stars began rearranging themselves into symbolic constellations. Emery stared in horror. They're forming the pattern of return. Jason looked confused. "What's that?" Sayar answered. "The last time those shapes appeared, 3 galaxies vanished." Jason clenched his fists. "If they're coming, we'll meet them. Earth won't run." Final warning from the Architects 1. Architect finally spoke, not with a voice but with an image. Everyone on Earth saw the same vision, a sea of fire. Mountains floating in the sky, and Jason standing at the center, holding a glowing orb. A shadow creature tried to take it. Jason turned and burned it with a glance. Then a deep voice echoed in every mind. "He is the 13th. He will choose the end." Above Earth, the skies turned silver. The 12 architects hovered silently, watching the planet below. Around them floated over 10,000 ships from every corner of the galaxy. Alien species of all kinds watched, waited, and feared. Jason stood alone on a mountain, his body glowing faintly with power. Emery, Sayar, and the last remaining soldiers watched from far away. Jason had been summoned. The architects didn't ask. They commanded, and Jason rose into the sky to meet them, the trial of the 13th. The architects created a place beyond time, a space of silence. Jason stood in the center. The 12 circled around him, each one shaped from stardust, light, and ancient memory. They didn't speak with mouths. They spoke with thought. "You are the 13th, the one born of chaos and choice, the final key." Jason's voice was steady. "Why me?" "Because your kind was made to choose." The offer, they showed him visions. If he joined them, Earth would rise. All pain, all war, all hunger would end. No more sickness, no more fear, no more weakness. He would not be a king. He would be a keeper of balance. They offered him a seat among them. "Say yes, and your world will shine forever." Jason lowered his head, then asked, "And if I say no?" "The price of refusal," one architect answered. "If you refuse, Earth will stand alone. The enemies who fear what you've become will burn your skies, and we will not stop them." Jason looked up. "So your offer is peace, if I give up choice?" "Exactly." Jason turned, eyes glowing. His voice was calm but firm. "Then I choose Earth, as it is, free." The architects react. The 12 paused. Their forms flickered. Some grew darker, others faded. One said, "You have failed the trial." Another added, "Or, you have passed the only one that mattered." And then they began to vanish. One by one, they disappeared into light, leaving Jason alone in the silence. But their voices echoed one last time. The galaxy now watches the 13th. The choice is made. The great betrayal. Jason returned to Earth. Crowds gathered across every continent. People watched the sky. Then it happened. One of Earth's own generals, General Laura, launched a missile at Jason. She believed no one should have that kind of power. As the warhead approached, Jason didn't move. The missile froze in mid-air, twisted like paper, and vanished. Jason looked at the general. "You feared what I'd become. You should have trusted what I chose." She fell to her knees. A new voice. Across the stars, Jason stood before the galaxy's live broadcast system, beamed to every ship, every planet. He said only one thing: "We're not your weapon. We're not your god. We are Earth. If you come for us, we will defend. If you come in peace, we will welcome. But we will never bow." The feed ended, and silence spread. But it wasn't fear. It was respect. Epilogue. 1 year later, a new era began. Aliens didn't invade Earth anymore. They sent students, ambassadors, and even refugees. Janari children trained alongside human cadets. The architects never returned, but strange stars still flickered now and then, watching quietly. Jason? He vanished from the public eye. Some said he was building something, others said he was walking the stars alone. But all across the galaxy, one phrase became legend. When the weak rose, we laughed. When they trained, we watched. But when he chose, everything changed.